seems that Helios, the woman mystic, used to get up. Was it her or who was it? Or it was Annie Besant? I don't remember. Annie Besant. She got up and gave a sermon to the empty church. That's funny. Annie Besant. Anyways, this is kind of like Annie Besant, where I do a reading to John Main, but we have one person in attendance. We're doing the Way of Unknowing, continuing with the questions and answers. Part 3, my thoughts seem to be coming from all over the place. And so if you cannot help but get distracted, isn't it all right to let the mantra go? Actually, sometimes Simran is broken and restarted, I guess. But the answer, well, the great principle is, quote, pray as you can, and not as you can't. If the only way you can find peace is by standing on your head at that moment, it would be probably advisable to stand on your head. But the advice that I would give you is try to the very best of your ability, to just keep saying the mantra. It seems much more difficult than it is. It is like swimming or riding a bicycle. You know, when you see a bicycle for the first time as a child, you look at it in awe. And you think it is impossible. No one can possibly stay on those two wheels and keep going. I am bound to fall off. And you get on the thing and tense every muscle in your body, and you fall off. So you say, there you are, what did I tell you? It's impossible. It is the same with meditating. We tend to approach it from a very tense starting point. But if you can only stay there, the gentleness and the compassion and the peace and the love of God will overwhelm you. You need not be at all concerned about your distractions. They are only a cause for humility. It is an extraordinary thing. Here we are living in the most sophisticated, complex culture that has been known on the face of the earth, with all the advantages we have of education and every kind of book at your fingertips. We cannot sit still for 10 seconds. So it should make us humble. Just persevere in that encounter with humility and say your mantra or mantras. And you have to be gentle when you start. But what I would suggest is, if you do find that you have to give up, say in the first week of meditating, well, maybe you had better give up. But in the second week, out of the 7 days, only give up on 6. Not on all 7. Gradually try to extend it. Do not give up, because you do not achieve perfection. Perfection is relative. You are perfect if you reach the potential you have at this moment. To be perfect means encountering our limits and gradually pushing them back. Question. Is there a best time in the morning and in the evening? Answer. The best time varies very much according to the body chemistry of the individual. Best time for most is probably early in the morning before breakfast, when you are at your freshest. Perhaps a cold shower might be part of the prescription, and then in the evening, I think probably the best time is before your evening meal. That isn't always possible for everybody, especially if you're coming home from work and your family's got the meal ready or a guest arrives. It depends very much on the circumstances of your life. Those are probably the optimum times, but what is of supreme importance is that you do meditate every morning and evening. It can be done. The busiest person often find the time that the less busy say they cannot find. It's very classical. Question, would it matter if you changed the time from day to day if you had to? Answer, if you had to, not at all. But no, the really critical thing is to put in those 2 meditations. When I was in Ireland a while ago, I met a priest friend of mine who started to meditate about 6 years ago. He told me that when he started, he listened to what I had to say and said, quote, well, you know, this guy is a monk and has nothing to do all day but sit around. It's very easy for him to meditate twice a day, but I'm a very busy parish priest, therefore I will read his signal for me, quote, once a day, unquote. And so he said for about a year he meditated once a day. Then he felt, quote, you know, this is not working, unquote. He came to me to complain about it, and I said, quote, well, it's extraordinary. You meditate every morning and every evening, do you? Question. He said, well, no, just the morning, unquote. So I said, well, you meditate in the evening as well, and then you'll listen to the complaints. Well, you meditate in the evening as well, and then we'll listen to the complaints. And he did. He said that he could not describe to me the qualitative difference. He began his day, and as it were, prepared for his day out of that peace of an interrootedness in his essential being. Then he brought the whole day together at the end, as it were, gathering all the strands in the same essential reality. He said that the difference was astonishing to him, and he said, quote, you know, I'll meditate every day, twice a day, for the rest of my life now, if I possibly can. Question, what about more than twice a day? Say 3, or should we stick to just 2? Answer, what I would recommend you to do when you are starting is to start with the morning and an evening meditation when you have got that absolutely regularly built in. Then if you wanted to, and if the circumstances of your life permit, put in a midday meditation. So like prior to lunch, midday. I think that would be good, but I wouldn't expect most people to come to that for maybe a couple of years or so. One has to start very gently, being very compassionate towards oneself. All of us, I think, find that we give up We start again. We give up, and so on. You have to be very gentle, prudent, and self-understanding. What I think you will find is that the experience itself is self-authenticating. Experience teaches you will simply find that the longer you have been meditating for, the more your day seems to come into shape and the more purpose you have in your life. Then the more you begin to see the meaning in everything, and the more you will find that love grows in your heart. Now it may be that there is a great deal of meanness there as well, but the love is growing, and that is the real test of meditation. But you cannot put any sort of materialistic test to meditation. More does not necessarily mean better. The real test is the love growing in your heart. We've completed part 3, it looks like, of John Main's questions and answers and responses from The Way of Unknowing, page 106, and book The Way of Unknowing. It's how you start unknowing things through meditation. Stop knowing too much.
Yeah, he just knows too much if you know too much.
What? Shouldn't know too much. And therefore, Weber. No, I can't read it. Finish reading this one. It's not long enough time.
To read my book.
Your book. We have other books. We have to take the time to read all the other books and to meditate twice a day, or maybe 3 times a day, and read all the books. How can we read all the books and meditate? Why couldn't you? You could take up the path of extreme meditation and book reading. What if you're retired or something? Well, from age 60 to 70, you could read all the books and meditate twice a day, or 3 times a day, or much longer, many more times, or 5 times a day, or 6 hours a day, or 2 hours or 3 hours in the morning, followed by 1 hour in the evening, or a total, or during retreat, 6 hours in the morning, from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. You could meditate. This is much longer than Christian meditation. You could meditate, let's say, 6 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, for a total of 8 hours a day, and become an extreme professional. But this is a very good beginning for Christian meditation. John Main teaches a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening. So they could use that until you can learn Sarat Shabd Yoga and listen to the harmony of the spheres.